Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another coffee rant with Dano. If you have to hit pause on this video to get your coffee or whatever beverage you deem necessary, go ahead and do that now, as this will be a lengthy discussion. Guys, been seeing this more and more. Foods that don't taste the same or have no taste at all. Foods that are getting too many ingredients in them. We're going to discuss a lot of these different things here tonight. A lot of things that you guys have been talking about on the channel as well. Things in the comments. Something I'm going to talk about a little bit and why I don't go over some of these things in our videos that we do. First, let's start off with a couple different things. One, we've been getting a lot of comments lately on foods that just aren't tasting good. Notice this a lot with produce. I was talking to a couple people. I got an apple from Kroger again the other day. I was just like, I needed an apple. Haven't had any, haven't bought any because they've been tasteless. And sure enough, one that I thought would be really good, I got from Kroger, and it was absolutely tasteless. Very little hint of apple taste in it. Guys, part of the reason why I get my apples at Aldi and or Trader Joe's is because you can smell them. You smell them when you go in the store. If you can smell them, chances are they're going to taste pretty good. If you go into Kroger, and it's a much bigger store, but, all you can really smell is bleach from them cleaning the floor. And I just think to myself, well, at least they're keeping a clean store. But we've gotten some of the same comments on this as well. With different apples not tasting as good and stuff like that. And there's many more foods that we're going to go into here. Another one being oranges. What I've noticed with a lot of oranges lately, like the big, beautiful ones, that look like it could be in a magazine. It looks so gorgeous. Well, I quit buying those. I quit buying those because you get one and it's like, wow, this is beautiful. Answer me this. Why does an orange taste dry? Why would it be dry? Right? There's no juices coming out. Your fingers aren't getting sticky. You know what I'm saying? Like, you dig into it and you're like, wow, this orange is looks like it's seen better days. Even some of the mandarins have not been that good. They've been really have they been sitting for 2 years? I mean, it's just kind of what goes on in my head. Now, I will say we got those little baby mandarins from Trader Joe's about a week ago when we went and did that shopping haul video that we did. Those are some of the best mandarins I've had in years, and they are bursting with flavor. They're tiny. You may need to eat 2 of them. I know I do sometimes. I wish I would have bought a couple bags of them. I will be going up there and getting more, and I should have bought apples up there too. The apples smell fantastic at Trader Joe's. Now, you could, one thing a lot of people have been talking about doing is going to different farmers markets and stuff like that. And if you are close to them, within a relative, even if you have it may be worth the drive for you, right? Because you don't want to buy a bunch of apples that taste like garbage. And I should have learned my lesson. The last batch of apples that I got from Kroger were tasteless. Now, there's these other things, with conventional produce and stuff. You gotta make sure you wash. I wash them like crazy, right? I'll run them underwater, let it soak for just a minute, and then I'll run it underwater again, right? Because I want to make sure that if there's any of that appeal or whatever they call that chemical, any of the different chemicals that are on a lot of the produce these days, you want to make sure that you wash as much as you can, right? They claim that they wash it off, but you still want to make sure that you're washing all your stuff. I will say I did pick up those blueberries from Kroger the other day, the 18-ounce pack of blueberries. And one thing that kind of struck my eyes, a lot of the blueberries, were not completely blue. Some of them were a little red. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just pitch those. Still a great deal. Some of the best blueberries I've had in a while, and I kind of had a theory. And it's not one that Kroger usually has. But I started thinking, I was like, is it better to because you kind of get the thought okay, they're just pouring blueberries in here. They're not being overly particular about making sure they're all looking beautiful and plump and everything like that. They are not the prettiest blueberries. But I got to say, they taste good. They taste really good. They're not very sour. Really good. And again, I don't know the brand name of them. It's one I haven't seen before. But I kind of thought like, well, okay, these are just fresh blueberries that they just threw in here. They weren't being very particular. A lot of little red ones and stuff. I actually tried one. It was really good. I was like, okay. And I watched those too. You want to watch everything these days, guys. So I was talking to a couple people. I was talking to my mom. We were talking about carrots. We're talking about like Bolthouse Farms and stuff, and like some of their like baby carrots and stuff like that. I gotta say, not much flavor in those either, and you don't really think about it. I think our brains are so in tune with salt and sugar, and we're gonna get into some other things, some more deep diving here in just a few minutes. But I think our brains are so used to sugars and salt and stuff like that that something even a little bland that has no flavor is going to be no. It's like your first instant thought is, I need to put some salt on this. But then she brought up an interesting point, like get a regular carrot, get a carrot, that is pulled from the stalk, right, or out of the ground, and then cut it up yourself. Full flavor carrot all the time, right? Not something that's been in a bag that's been sitting for who knows how long. Now I'm going to tell a little bit of a story here of something I did. So most of you know, me and Jessica have been stocking up on some things when we find some good deals. A lot of different Campbell's soups, different, that we've had. And a lot of you guys know that they have the GMOs or the, genetically modified, organisms, or, GMOs that they use from um, different corn and sugars and stuff like that are processed genetically, probably in a lab or something. I don't know. You always hear that it's bad for you. These things have been in foods, in canned goods and stuff like that for a long time. The only difference is over the last year, they have been forced to put it on the label. It's been going on since like 2012. So they just never had to put it on the label. And you start looking at some of these things and you see some of the different ingredients, and it's like a can of the home-style chicken noodle soup is just under 1,500 milligrams of sodium. That is a lot of sodium. So earlier today, I had a can of one of the cans that was, I've had for a while, wanted to kind of rotate it out. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a taste test here. So they come with carrots, celery, noodles, and chicken, and a couple other things. So I noticed, and now over the last couple months, me and Jessica have really been reading a lot of different ingredients, making sure that we're eating healthier. We've cut a lot of things out of our diet, added a lot of things, a lot of different fruits and vegetables into our diets. So we're noticing a lot more things. And I will say this, the healthier you eat, the more your body's going to know when you're not eating healthy. I was eating one of these cans and it was like my whole mouth just tasted like salt. I mean, it was like, and for years, never really noticed, because the brain triggers the addiction of wanting all that salt and sugar. So in this test, I was like, okay, I'm going to take a carrot. I took like a couple carrots, took a few carrots, a couple different times. I was like, and kind of got the juice off a little bit, and I take a bite. No carrot taste at all. None. Absolutely none. The celery had a slight taste of celery. I think that the celery adds a lot of whatever flavor is in there, but you can tell right away that this tastes nothing like a chicken noodle soup that you would make at home. Okay. The only things that I could really taste was the salt in the chicken, and the salt, especially when you're eating the soup and it's like you're tasting the noodles, but it's not the noodles you're tasting, it's the salt. The salt is ridiculous. The sodium is ridiculous. Now, these things are good to have. They're good to have, in a situation where, something may happen. Maybe you're out of a job, or world events lead to, having to, dip into your pantry a little more, or bad weather. The lights go out. You can open up a can of soup and good to go. Right? Good to have. especially since these prices go up like crazy too. And these, I bought a lot of these things up when they were cheap. Doesn't mean they're good for you. Sustainable, it'll keep you alive, But and I'm not hating on Campbell's too much, But these are things that a lot of our viewers always talk about in the channel. Now I'm going to talk about why I don't usually read ingredients. Okay, there's a couple reasons. One, I can't do it all. I can't do it all in the videos. If I read ingredients to everything, the videos are going to be way too long. And I know for some of you that's fine, but I have to keep the videos right about 30 minutes, maybe a little longer if there's enough information that is important. And I'm not saying the ingredients of these things are important. They very much are, and we need to make sure we are all reading ingredients, especially if you have any kind of allergen. There are new things being put into different foods, right? Different foods, don't just buy it. If you have any kind of allergen, especially like a peanut allergen, soy allergen, coconut allergen, these kind of things, you want to make sure that you're always reading the different ingredients. Now, is a lot of this stuff healthy for you? Absolutely not. And you can tell that through when you are starting to eat healthier, right? Cutting out a lot of different sugars and salts, your brain starts to change back into what I feel is what it should be. Don't eat any kind of salty foods and different sugary foods and then go get a cheeseburger from McDonald's. You can't taste the meat at all. Whether it's meat at all, I really don't know, to be honest with you. But any burger from McDonald's, the salt, it tastes like salt. It is like it's like you're eating a brick of salt. Now, yesterday I went to Newport on the Levee in Newport, Kentucky, and I got a burger. And it wasn't overly salty, but I knew right away, I was like, this just does not taste right. It wasn't that it was a little bit that it was undercooked, okay? But it just did not taste right. And here's the next part of what I want to talk about here. Some of the meat, there's a reason why I do not buy tube meat. I do not buy meat in the tube. I won't buy it at Sam's Club. I won't buy it anywhere. I don't even really care if I can see through it anymore because every time I get it, it just does not taste right. It doesn't taste good. I don't know if it's because it's been sitting in a tube for a while. I really don't know. But I don't like it. I don't buy it. I'll spend the few extra pennies to get it fresh. Now, I'm not going to waste my money at places like Kroger or Sam's or Walmart or somewhere, the fresh meat is, overly expensive as to where we get ours in like big 5-pound things of it, either at Costco or Sam's Club. That's what we've been doing more and more. And the quality is just unmatched, right? Tell me if this sounds familiar to you. You get those little chubs of meat. It's good. It's okay. When you taste it with just the meat and you're like, wow, this don't taste good. But then you cover it up, right? It's like, oh, well, this tastes good with tacos. This tastes good with meatloaf when you have a bunch of ketchup or barbecue sauce like we do. Or if you're really dressing them up with sea salt, different seasonings and salts and stuff like that. Well, sure, that is what the brain is craving, is the different salts and sugar or different salts and seasonings and stuff like that. That's why it tastes good, right? And it's okay to use a little bit of seasoning salt. Like, me and Jessica sometimes, I don't anymore really, but she still puts a little bit of the Lowry seasoning on some of her hamburgers, which is fine. But it's on better quality hamburger that is, at least for what I've gotten over the last couple years, has always been good. I trust it to be good quality. I don't know, guys. Food is changing, and a lot of it is changing. And, we're not just seeing foods that already have so much salt and all this different seasonings and stuff like that. And look at chips, okay? Look at chips. Now, you guys know I used to love my Pringles. Absolutely used to love Pringles. Do you know why? Because they were packed with salt and different chemicals, different seasonings that probably aren't good for you at very high levels, right? But it was real sweet. You bite into that chip, it's like, ooh, It's got a nice punch, and then you eat a few more. It's like the brain just constantly craves them. Well, now I feel like places like Pringles and stuff, they've tried to say, oh, we're not adding this stuff anymore. We're not adding this stuff anymore. Okay, cool. You might as well go out of business because your chips taste like crap now. I mean, they do. I mean, it's like I liked them when they were garbage. I liked them when they were completely bad for you. But now that now that you've taken things out, they taste terrible. And it's like, that just goes to show it may be healthier for you. It might be. I don't really know, but I know they taste terrible. I've tried a couple different Pringles brands over the last couple years, and whatever they've taken out of it was the addictive chemical that kept me wanting Pringles. I know, just bear with me on this. There's a whole thing that we're going to be discussing here. A lot of our viewers, are starting their gardens. They're starting to grow some of their own vegetables, some of their own fruits, and I think that is awesome. If you can do that, that is great. You should. You will definitely notice a difference. Here's something else, too. A lot of organic fruits that I've been buying lately and the organic vegetables, not just Kroger, at Meijer and some other places too. I've tried some organic vegetables at Aldi, some different fruits. I like their conventional apples at Aldi better than I do the organic. The organic Gala apples that I bought at Aldi were tasteless. They were like the regular or the conventional apples that I bought at Kroger. But the conventional ones were really good. And they had taste. I don't know. I almost feel like they were mixed up. Like it was in the wrong bag. But guys, you are absolutely correct. We've had a ton of people comment on this over the last month. So I wanted to do just a video talking about some of this stuff and what me and Jessica have noticed with a lot of different foods. There's a lot of different things. Companies know what's going on. Different cracker companies, different chip companies. Kind of the point that I'm getting to here is that they know that people are starting to look at a lot of these different things. When the whole thing came out with GMOs, it was amazing. Our channel was getting flooded with, do you know Campbell's now has GMOs in it? It always has. They just are now forced to put it on the label. And when I say always, well, back since 2012. And I gotta say, yeah, my Ritz crackers were good in that soup, but it was about the only thing. And I waited until after I had a few bites before I added some crackers, but I almost had to. You guys know how much I like bananas. I am not a fan, but, bananas are really good for you. And I have to say, I've been buying bananas wrong for a long time. I get whatever bananas I can, but now I used to get ones that were like all yellow, maybe starting to get a little rotten on the sides, just a little bit. I don't do that anymore. The top has to be green to where it comes down almost to the first tip of the banana, and then yellow all the way down. Because one, I don't eat them fast enough, and I feel like bananas go bad so fast. Not that they go bad. I mean, you can use them for a lot of different things. Once bananas are like, it's too mushy to eat, make some banana bread out of them. We have a lot of viewers on the channel that do that. I think that's awesome. I don't know. Me and Jessica have really been not only trying to eat healthier, but canceling a lot of these chemicals out of our lives, I think has really helped us. I feel it's better for our overall health. As you guys know, Jessica quit drinking pop about a year and a half ago, and she has been a lot better since. Now, I've quit drinking regular pop. I'll drink a 7-Up Zero every now and then, or tea or something like that. We'll have tea every now and then, but mostly water. Just trying to, and when you do these things, and this could be part of why I'm noticing a lot more of these things now. It's been a while since I've had a can of that Campbell's Chunky Soup, and I gotta say, after eating it, it was like eating a cup of salt. The chicken was okay. Okay, I mean, it was okay. I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like it was drawing me in from the salt, and I feel like the flavor in my brain of chicken was almost imaginary. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? It's like, yeah, it's chicken, obviously, but I feel like the salt was so much in it that it was like my brain just thinking, okay, this is chicken, and the noodles are just packed with salt. I feel like all that salt and everything just soaks up. 1,500, just under 1,500 milligrams of sodium. That is outrageous. Now I have a one Campbell's soup that I was looking at that has the steak and potatoes, or like roasted, like roast beef, 1,700 milligrams of sodium. So I don't know. Me and Jessica get a bigger place someday, and really I know I don't need a bigger place, but guys, I'm not kidding. We are out of room, but I am going to start canning products eventually. I know a lot of our viewers do that, but I have made big soups over the years, different things that I would love to can and preserve for a long time. I do, from time to time, I don't have any right now, but I do like my big, like 20 vegetable pot soup, right? And I let it slow cook. Slow cooking for me is key because one, you're not burning a lot of the nutrients out of everything, but at the same time, you're keeping a lot of that crispness of the vegetables while you cook. Usually when I cook like a big stock pot of my 15 to 20 vegetable soup, I turn that on low on the stove. I mean, it's barely on low. And then what I'll do after dinner, we'll let it cool down for a while, pack them in mason jars and freeze them. Now, some people were saying, I think I talked about this one time on the channel, and some people were saying, well, that might not be a good idea. You could break the glass. Well, there's a way you do it to where you don't break the glass. You have like a saucepan with a little bit of water in it, and when you heat it up, you take the glass, right? You let it sit out for a little while. You could let it sit out and thaw overnight. That's the best way to do it. But if you're hungry, I used to travel on the road a lot, and I would take these with me with a little burner, with a little Craftsman burner, and I'd have a saucepan filled up with about that much water, and then just turn that flame on as low as possible and just set the glass in there. Now, I would keep these throughout the week in a cooler, so usually by, I don't know, the 4th or 5th day on the road, they were already starting to thaw, so I had to, but that would last me all week. That would be lunch all week. Little ball mason jars. Best vegetable soup you've ever had in your life, every day. Absolutely delicious. I need to get back to more of these things, though. You guys have been saying, like in my last video where we were talking about this, a lot of people were saying that fast food, even a lot of foods, aren't the same as what they used to be, and they are not, guys. They are not, especially when you are used to cooking things at home, making your own food, and then you go out. Now, there's some nice restaurants out there, right? And I have me and Jessica, as most of you know, are heading to the Smoky Mountains here shortly. So we're going to be doing some food reviews down there. But we know, that's the nice thing, though, is we know a lot of these places where they have home cooking, where they're cooking things in-house, where there's not like a million different preservatives in these things. So I think that's part of the problem with a lot of different things of foods today, especially a lot of canned goods and stuff, is they're packed with preservatives. This sodium, this high content of sodium is what's preserving these things for so long. And it's not that it's preserving the flavor all right, the flavor of salt. One thing I also wanted to mention too, that I didn't know about, I was kind of in the same conversation with my mom. She was talking about how my grandma used to do her canned vegetables when she bought canned vegetables. I thought this was really smart. If you didn't have, nowadays you can get the low sodium or no sodium or sea salt or no salt and that stuff. But my grandma used to take all of her canned vegetables in the can, and then she would put them in a colander and she would wash every can. And I'm like, that's smart, because at least you're getting some of the different salt content or whatever preservative is packed in there off of it. And you can get cans with just water. You can find canned goods with just like peas and water, right? I don't want sodium. I don't want salt. I can add that stuff myself, right? But anyway, I know I kind of went on two different subjects here because the biggest thing is like different things that have been tasteless. A lot of things have, guys. A lot of things. I've had so much produce now, we talked a lot about this last summer. Remember all the peaches? The peaches that had no flavor? A peach that has no flavor. Or that's rock hard. Now, I know peaches weren't in the best. I've had some pears. This year. They taste like garbage. I had a pear from Jungle Jim's. It tasted like $1,000,000. I love pears. My grandpa used to have pear trees. I'd grab one out of the tree, you want to cut it up because, you may have something in there, like a little worm or something, but hey, it's going to be the best one you ever taste. You just cut that out of there and eat it, good to go, right? And they weren't all like that, but I've found one from time to time. Some of the apples too. And, that's what you got. That's how they are naturally grown. And other insects and things are going to find their way, and you just got to make sure you cut it. I know might sound disgusting. Hopefully you've already had dinner. But that's how it is. With apple trees, you're going to find an apple with a worm in it sometimes, and then you just got to cut it around, move around, wash it real good. Be one of the best apples you've ever had. Guys, I'll tell you what, make sure you're checking everything. All these recalls, everything going on. I know I've heard about the tea bags, the yogi tea. If you drink yogi tea, make sure you check online immediately, as 80,000 something boxes have been recalled due to pesticides. I don't know. More chemicals, guys. More chemicals. I don't know. I haven't really gotten into it. All I know is that it was they said 877,000 tea bags. They broke it down into boxes, and I guess it was a little over 80,000 boxes. So if you drink yogi tea, there is a recall on it. Make sure you check that out. But yeah, let us know down in the comments, some of the items that you have been picking up lately that have been tasteless. I'm sure I'm leaving out a ton of them here. I just kind of winged it here. As you guys know, I don't really have a script. I do, but it's irritating when you're already spending a lot of money on produce and meat, and then it comes out terrible. That's another thing too. Notice a lot of meat products at Kroger that have not tasted good. Okay, and I'm not hating on Kroger. All I'm saying is that you're charging a very high price for it, right? And it's it tastes nothing like what's close to the price that I'm getting from the farmer's market or some of our local mom and pop stores around here, which we've been doing more and more anyway. And yeah, it costs a little bit more, but it's delicious and it tastes real, and there's not a pound of fat on it like some of these other ones we're finding. I will say Meijer's been pretty good on meat, but Kroger, I don't know. I don't know. Some places are just better than others, and maybe that's just the Kroger that's getting it in. I really don't know, but yeah, it hasn't looked great lately. If it doesn't look great, chances are it probably doesn't taste great. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.